very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. I'm afraid a bit of tragic news over the weekend, sorts of things happening. Unfortunately, there's the Nigeria Air Force plane that crashed. 7 personnel were killed there. And then there was also news of kidnapping, shall we say, of all the passengers aboard an NSTA, that is Niger State Transport Authority bus. But happily, they've all regained their freedom. In fact, our man, Sifon Essien, defense correspondent, I believe is actually in the residence, in the house of one of those who have regained their freedom. We'll see if we can cross over to Sifon and hear more from him. Good morning, Sifon. Okay, Sifon is going to be with us, you know, it will just about immediately, you know, he's going to be with us. And so we'll start off with that. And as I said, there's also the tragic news of 7 servicemen lost in the Nigeria Air Force plane that crashed. I believe let's start off with a package and then we'll come back and talk about these things.
Local residents were shocked to see an aircraft fall out of the sky. Before now, the quiet Wasa community in Abuja, with proximity to the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, only watches when airplanes come down from their altitude in preparation for landing. This time, it was different. A tragedy.
We are at this place, try to make a foundation. Then I just saw a plane coming down, and I even said, what kind of plane is this pilot doing? So I don't know that the pilot has a problem. Then before we would have known, the plane just went down there and then crashed. So and we rushed there to even go and maybe to rescue. So when we reached that point, the thing exploded back again. Then we now ran back. And we went there, we saw the people there burned beyond recognition. I saw 4. I don't know where the plane is coming from. But I was just standing here, then we just saw a plane could just try to come down.
Not myself today. What I experienced today, I've never seen it all through my life. Never seen it. As in, it was a very big tragedy over here today.
How did it happen?
Thing is that I witnessed the plane before it crashed. I just came back from church. I want to go and buy something. Only for me to come outside the compound and I saw plane coming close as if it wants to land in front of our compound. I was like, what kind of driving is this? What kind of driving is this? What? The pilots were just struggling with the plane and it will do as if it wants to land. Before you know it will go up again, it will bend as if, God, it was terrible. Then just managed to move towards the airport as if the landing place, and before you know it has now gotten to where other planes used to reach before they touch the ground. I just from afar seeing the plane going down as in at a stage I couldn't see it again, and the next thing I heard was a big sound with fire and smoke. Boom! Ha! I was like, Jesus. Oh my God, this is human being burning. I was so traumatized. I was like, God, what is this?
Medics and emergency workers had a tough time in containing the impact of the disaster. Security agencies already cordoned off the area to prevent the rural dwellers and other onlookers from tampering with the crash site and destroying evidence that will assist investigation. Air Force authorities confirmed that the Beechcraft King Air B350I aircraft crashed while returning to the Abuja airport after reporting engine failure en route Minna, Niger State. Sadly, all 7 personnel on board died in the crash.
Well, thanks to Sifon Essien there. Indeed, a tragic affair. Quite frankly, we have all that we need to know about this in the sense that it took off and very shortly after was reporting engine trouble. And as the reports have it, they've now set up an investigation to find out exactly what happened. Good morning, Sifon. Okay, thank you for
good morning.
Good morning. We were just looking at the report you made earlier, and we don't have any more, do we, than that the authorities have set up, a board to investigate, as always does happen with airplane crashes, to sort of find out what exactly happened, right?
Well, what exactly happened there, we gathered, may not be something we'll get to know in maybe coming days or even weeks, because the military authorities would actually investigate with the assistance of the AIB to find out exactly the cause. But so far, from the statements we've gotten from the Air Force spokesman, indicates that an engine failure caused the plane to return back to Abuja. So it was an air return, which turned out to be tragic.
Is that plane, I think I was reading somewhere that it usually is involved in surveillance flights. So I guess the question I'm asking is that, was that plane used as a passenger plane or multi-purpose? Sometimes it does what you what I just said, and that plane plays a multi-role, more than one role. It's used for light transport, movement of passengers, maximum I think 7 or 8, and it's also used for surveillance. It's fitted with gadgets that can be used for surveillance, and they've used time and again for surveillance in several theaters from the northeast and to the northwest and even in the south, and there's been no issues. And I'm also privileged to have flown on that plane several times on official assignment, and there's been no hitch. But in this instance, it was rather unfortunate. It turned out the way it did, and we await further and better explanations as soon as investigation has been concluded. Indeed. Well, thank you, Stephen. We're going to have to wait on the authorities and all the experts, because they, more than anybody, wants to get to the bottom of this so that it doesn't happen again. And that's to one side. May the souls of the 7 servicemen, rest in perfect peace. It's a calamitous loss to the country. The other thing, because it looks like sometimes it never rains, it pours. There's the other story that I believe you covered. In fact, I thought you were in the residence of one of the, shall we say, people that have regained their freedom in the Niger State Transport Authority bus that was, it's a passenger bus. People were kidnapped there. Tell us about that, please.
Well, as at between 12 and 1 a.m., the passengers numbering 53, who were taken a little above a week ago by bandits, they were actually coming to Abuja, and they were abducted by bandits and taken into the bush and kept for more than 1 week, were released to the state government. That was the outcome of multilateral engagement by the state government, and they also believe that this would also lead to the release of the Kagara schoolboys, officials, and their family members.
It's interesting you connect those, because those two events, one that has happened and that you've just spoken about. Now, the negotiations that were going on, you said it could actually lead to the release of the boys that we... quite frankly, that was what we were expecting before this went and happened. So that is still very much, the efforts in that regard are still very much on course, and we should be hearing some good news soon.
Well, there are indications that any moment from now we should be hearing good news, because the engagement the government has had in the case of the released passengers gives a glimmer of hope that the 42 persons taken in Kagara would be released and very soon received by the government the same way the one we saw earlier today happened. But how soon that would be is what we can't tell for now. But there is anxiety and optimism that anytime from now that could happen.
Indeed, I can imagine the admixture of anxiety and optimism. I was hearing, from the back room that you actually were at the residence of one of the people on the bus, on the Niger NSTA bus. What can you tell us? What was the feeling in the family house, if indeed you were there?
Well, they are excited that their loved ones have found freedom. But as we speak, they are undergoing medical evaluation and are yet to be released by the authorities to their families. So they are yet to reunite with their families. So those we've spoken with are actually waiting with bated breath, to receive their loved ones back home after a harrowing 8 days in captivity.
Indeed. 19 of them members of the same family. That's something. The family must have hired that bus for their convenience for this trip, this wedding trip.
Yes, actually, trauma is gradually paving way to joy, because for a particular family, actually an extended family, having 9 persons taken into captivity, it was indeed traumatic, according to the head of that large family.
Okay.
But we're expecting that any time from now we'll get to speak with them and we'll get to hear directly from them as soon as their family members who are now undergoing medical evaluation are released to them by the government.
Oh, I see. It's 9, not 19.
19 actually.
Oh, okay. This was a slip of tongue because you did say 9. So thank you very much for bringing us up to scratch, Siphon. Thank you indeed for your reporting. In studio we have Mr. Dr. Mabinuri as one of our studio guests here. He's a financial and policy analyst, so we'll be talking about his field as well. But the whole matter, being a bit off topic from your specialty for the moment, these things that are happening, these security incidents that are happening, and all of them are sort of, they're caused by the bad guys. So you see, we do have this challenge, and the authorities, especially, they say that they're working at it to get on top of this situation. It looks like we have our work cut out for us because these security people are not going to relent. I forgot to ask Siphon if there was any whiff of ransom being paid, that kind of a thing. So what's your general commentary about this? Because you could say on the one hand, this is like the dying throes of that problem. They are still trying, the bad guys are still trying to show that they are very much here. That's one way to look at it, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, you said the other time that it is out of my comfort zone. Is that
no, I didn't say comfort zone. Your area of specialization.
It's actually not, because I'm an economist.
Okay.
And we're talking about a segment of the economy.
Okay.
So there's no way.
And all of this affects, no matter how indirectly, the economy.
It affects the economy.
Right,
so,
you are.
And it's just like we are trying to cure the effect of whatever we are seeing now. We're forgetting the root cause. As an economist, let me try and go to the root cause of the so-called the insecurity we have now. And in economics, that's what we call the mystery index. The mystery index is the addition of inflation and unemployment. As we speak right now, unemployment in Nigeria is 27.1%, and our inflation aiming 17% as of last December is 15.95. So we have combination of the two, giving us a mystery index of over 40%. So that means, in next sense, that about 40% of Nigerians are miserable. That mystery index measures the level of discomfort. So someone that is miserable automatically going into banditry or insurgency or what have you is not an issue for him, because in the first instance he's miserable, and someone is now saying, okay, if you can do this, if you can kill this person, we'll give you 1 million naira. If you can, so for him, life is already meaningless. So going into insurgency or going into illegal activities or every other thing, whatever you want to call it, is not. In fact, it's more of a motivation for him to do that. Okay. So we really can't separate economy from all this. And if you also look at the implication of insurgency on the economy, it's also what they call untold impacts. For instance, we have seen now that it's very, very risky to go into to be a farmer in Nigeria, because it's either you are kidnapped by herdsmen, or you are, let me just the bad ones among them, or the bandits are also on your trail. So because if you look at all these people, they are in the forest, and most of our food comes from the forest. So if you have no access to your farm, then there is a problem. Indeed. So we should not look at this insecurity as if it's a national issue alone, or it's just doesn't concern the economy. It has ripple effect on the economy. Indeed. Because everything still boils down to security, safety, and food.
You said when you gave the statistics at the top, at the very beginning, you spoke about about 40% of Nigerians being quote unquote
over 40%. Addition of inflation and unemployment.
But, and that's what I wanted to pick you up on. Miserable, and you spoke about economics, but when you look at the reports that we had exited the recession, surely that is cheering news. Whatever else is going on, the fact that the economy is quote unquote getting on with it, so much so that we've actually exited that recession, is that not telling news? And aren't we on an upward swing now, don't you think?
Well, I will also say that it is not yet an uhuru, as they always say. We can't say we are totally out of recession. The last time, I think December 3rd, I was there.
No, which one is totally? We're either out or we're not out.
We are out.
We are out.
We still have our legs in it. I will explain what I mean by that. I will explain.
Okay.
The last time I was there, that was December 3rd. I shared the stage with Ajuri, and that's what I said.
In fact, Ajuri is standing by. Okay, we shall be hearing from him right now.
I say I don't expect a V-shaped recovery from this recession. That's either U or W. That is, it will, two as we are coming up, we'll go down again, then now come out fully. Sure. So we can't say we have V shape now, because just first quarter positive, and even the positive is just 0.11. It's 0.11.
Hey, we're on the right direction.
We're on the right direction. So we can say.
So you are saying that it must be put in context.
It must be, yeah, exactly. So we have 0.11. Then until we have the next 2 quarters reporting positive, that's when we can say yes, we are. Because 0.11 can still go back. That's what forms W. It's like when you're doing W, it comes out, it goes up, come down again, then now go up finally. So that's why I was saying W the other time. So we still can't. Government still needs to put a lot of things in place. Because if you look at it, also major 5 sectors.
Well, I'm going to come back to you. Okay, Thank you very much. Because as I did say, Ajuri Ngilale, SSA to the President on Public Affairs, is also listening to all of this here. There he is. Morning, Ajuri. Thank you very much for making time for us this morning.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. Good morning to my friend and distinguished economist. And good morning
Olado Tumabinori. Indeed. Now, I'm going to bring it to you. I am following the news, and the news says we're out of a recession, but our, as you put it, distinguished economist says, well, be that as it may, but putting it in context, he's looking like it's not yet uhuru. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, thank you very much. First and foremost, let me just take a moment to recollect. Last time me and my brother were together, he made the categorical statement that it will not be possible at all for Nigeria to emerge out of recession by the first quarter of this year. That's even the end of March, not February. Of course, even Bloomberg, I don't necessarily blame my brother, because even Bloomberg reported that it was unexpected. They said it was unexpected, at least from the perspective of Bloomberg analysts, that it was an unexpected emergence out of recession. Look, let us be very clear about something. The reason why I was so confident when I spoke to my brother 3 months ago on this platform was because, I said it on the program then, that we should play that program back at the end of the first quarter and know what is happening. Because I said it is just because there are some individuals who do not know the depth and scope of what the federal government of Nigeria has implemented over the course of the last 6 to 9 months. That people are saying that we cannot emerge out of a recession that was minus 3%. I was very adamant on that last program that minus 3% is something that can be emerged from out of within 3 to 5 months. And of course, we have now done it. I would take. I would disagree with my friend when he says that you're not out of recession. You're either in recession or you're out of recession.
He has conceded as much, but he's saying the margin is ever so tiny.
Let me just qualify. Let me just qualify the statement very quickly. I do agree with him in one area. I agree with him that it is definitely possible that if you do not manage the process, the trajectory, the growth process, that you can circle back to a recession. It is possible, but this is where we are. We are not in a recession for the first time. You remember there was another recession in 2014, 2015. When we emerged out of that recession, we did not elapse back into a recession after coming out of it. This is a totally separate cycle caused by a global pandemic that has affected multiple countries, taking even the United States of America, the top economy in the world, into a recession as well. So this is a new recession. So what we are saying is, if we did not elapse into recession when we emerged from the last one, why would we now elapse into a recession after emerging from this one? I also want to be clear about something. When we say we say that it is not yet Uhuru, I agree with him. And the reason why I am not one of those, and this administration is not a government that is just dancing and celebrating anyhow, is because we recognize that even today, even though what we have achieved is noteworthy because of the implementation of the Economic Sustainability Plan, the Special Public Works Program, 774,000 young people being financially engaged to rebuild infrastructure across the country, because of the Survival Fund, bailing out MSMEs, hundreds of thousands of MSMEs across the country by paying the salaries of their workers directly. These things are very directly attributed to why it is that we have been able to mitigate job losses and shutdowns. And this is why we have been able to emerge out of recession, these measures. So the point here is that we have come a long way, but because there is still so much economic misery and suffering in the country, and there are so many issues to tackle, we don't have time to celebrate. Our focus now has turned to multiplying the growth we have now recorded, and that is our focus.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. And let me stay with you, Ajuri, since you are remote and far away, and I'm just praying that the connection holds. But let me just stay with you for a bit, because at the end of the day, it does appear to me that apart from the very important statement of we're somehow out of recession and we've cleared that up, say no, you either are in or out, and he's considered that we are out, but the numbers are such, they're very, very, very slim, and you've also explained that we need to be careful and we don't need to let up. Excellent. Because I was going to ask you, Ajuri, now that we have this situation, and you also spoke about economic misery, I would have asked the question before of in what way can Nigerians, the ordinary Nigerian, not talking about the bureaucrats who know what's going on, but what is the hope or the potential for hope in this news that no matter how marginally Nigeria has struggled, strived, and is it strived or striven? I don't know. You know what I mean. And is out of this recession by the numbers. What joy is there in that for Nigerians in terms of hold on, we're coming, so to speak?
Thank you very much. So it's extremely important to note that the growth we've seen, the economic growth we've seen over the last several years under the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is really largely predicated on the growth of the non-oil sectors. This has been a focus of this administration. It's not a secret that we've moved very aggressively into agriculture. My brother mentioned the issue of agricultural production, the nexus it has with security, which is a very real nexus. It's a very legitimate concern. But that does not take away from the fact that under President Muhammadu Buhari, we have been able to move from being the largest importer of rice in Africa to being the largest producer of rice in Africa. That does not just happen in 5 years by accident. It's by the diligent work and interventions we put in place through the Central Bank of Nigeria, NASOL, and many others to provide not just seedlings, but instruments, agricultural instruments, as well as zero to low interest capital to millions of farmers across the country. Even RIFAN, the Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria, came out to thank President Muhammadu Buhari that they've been able to add about 12 million new farmers to their ranks over the course of the last 6 years. So the idea that agriculture is slumping is just not predicated on fact. We have to stay away from emotion and sentiment.
Because there was that part to the reporting as well. There was that part. Thank you for bringing that up, Ajuri. There was that part to the reporting as well. Whereas we have, well, they even use the word technically, exited the recession, there are other indices that were slumped where we didn't need them to be. And I think that's what you're putting into context now.
Yes, absolutely. So for us now, our focus is making sure that in 2021, because you asked about the future, the hope for the future now. Moving forward, there are a few very noteworthy initiatives. First of all, we're continuing to implement the 774,000 Special Public Works Program. We're continuing to implement the 75 billion Naira Survival Fund, which are 100% grants, not loans. These MSMEs will never have to pay back their money. We're simply bailing them out. Then, of course, we've also put in place, factored into the 2021 budget, which Mr. President has already signed into law, the 75 billion Naira NYIF, that is the National Youth Investment Fund, where our young people who are running MSMEs from the age of 18 to 35 will be able to access the low to zero interest capital for their MSMEs in the creative arts sector, in the financial tech sector, where people are developing apps in Lagos and across the country, etc. Then, of course, the president has also graciously approved the expansion of the existing social investment programs. You recognize before now, we had the Empower 500,000. That is now being escalated to 1 million. This year, in 2021, we're recruiting 1 million fresh ones because the other 500,000 have now been exited. We're also expanding the conditional cash transfer by an additional 1 million households. We're also expanding the homegrown school feeding program as schools resume from the current 9.5 million school children benefiting to 14 million school children across the country who will be benefiting. And I think the last point, Uncle Yori, on this question is when we talk about unemployment statistics, we really need to begin to ask ourselves the hard questions about how it is we can more effectively administer the compilation of our statistics as a country. Right now, it is on record, it's not a secret, that our unemployment rate is predicated on an evaluation of essentially what is the formal economy. You're talking about telecoms, you're talking about media organizations like TVC, you're talking about banking industry, oil and gas, construction, Julius Berger, and all these formal organizations who have TIN numbers, BVNs, they're doing formal business, they've been registered with CAC and all of that. We're doing our employment metrics based on the formal economy. What that means, I want to be very clear this morning, what that means is we have tens of millions of Nigerians who we know are making much more than $1 a day in the informal sector. These are people who are running stalls in markets across the country, not just employing themselves or employing other Nigerians in the market, in rural stores across rural communities in this country who are earning, who have profit margins of more than 100,000 naira in a month. But they are being tabulated in our NBS statistics today as unemployed, meaning they have zero income, they're zero, they're out.
Okay.
So we have a lot of work to do to ensure that those tens of millions of Nigerians that represent informal industry who have not registered with CAC and all of that, that they are factored into our unemployment statistics, so that not for the sake of government propaganda or to make government look good, no. For the sake of accurately dimensioning the economic situation in the country, for the sake of future economic planning, so that future interventions are made based on accurate data and so that they can be well implemented for the benefit of Nigerians. Right now,
okay, Abdul, 1 second, please. I beg your pardon. I got to interrupt you. Thank you very much. I beg your pardon. Okay. You can't hear me. But you see, Ajuri, you can't hear me. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I wanted to say that, well, first of all, he's saying that the economic recovery plan is in place and it is working. True, he considered the negligible, the figure in terms of percentage. But he was also making that very, very important point about for people like you, economic analysts, you want accurate data. And he was making the point in there that there's a sense in which the data systems need to catch up with actuality. But I don't know if that would significantly shift your perspective. One, we have agreed we are out of deception. That, you know, there's a lot more to be done. You would have wished it were a lot better. You gave me the figure of what was the figure that you said?
Unemployment.
For
recession.
Yeah.
0.11. 0.11. So that's like 0.1.
Yes, yeah.
So it's very, very, very negligible.
But nevertheless, I pass.
It's positive, yes.
I pass. Good morning, Mr. Rashid in Abuja.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Yogi.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, please, I'd like to direct this question to Adiri.
Sure.
You mentioned all the intervention plans that the government are putting in place, but I didn't hear you mention age means.
You didn't hear him mention what?
Age means. There's a loans system that you get from NISA through the CBN.
Okay.
And a lot of people have applied for it for months now, and there has been no feedback from them. Is it that it has been suspended or?
Okay.
What
Luckily, we still have a jury with us. We still have a jury with us. As for the suspension, a jury. Aha. Did you hear the question? Please take it. Rashid in Abuja wanted to know if we have suspended work on. Did you hear the question? I didn't hear it. Age mate or something like that. I think there was something about some assist that was going to come from government to Nigerians, that the Nigerians were to apply for, something about coming through the CBN, and he says he hasn't heard anything more about that. So he wanted you, he directed the question to you.
Okay. First of all, let me thank my brother Rashid for spending his valuable time with us and participating in the program. The issue of I think what he's referring to in the absence of some bits of information is the CBN household loan, which we distributed through the Nassau Microfinance Bank. This was essentially very low interest capital we provided to families across the country, hundreds of thousands of families and businesses across the country to ameliorate the adverse impact of COVID-19 on their living standards. So right now, I believe we exhausted the first batch. There was a batch A of about, give or take, 100,000 beneficiaries across the nation. I think you're talking of high value loans. So these are not small loans. We're talking about up to about #1 million, some of these loans. What the central bank government now put in place was an expansion of that program to include hundreds of thousands of more families. So he's basically doubled up that fund for people to apply. We've asked our people to please be patient with us. We know it's not easy. The delays are not easy. We're dealing with millions of applications. We've already sorted out about 300,000 beneficiaries of that particular scheme. So please, we beg you, please just be patient with us. Certainly, we're working very hard to not just avail the funds, but also ensure that everybody who has processed their application would benefit in due course. So please just be patient with us.
Sure. Thank you. Collins in Calabar. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning.
Okay. Go ahead, Collins.
Hi, everything, sir.
Very well, thank you.
Okay. My question goes to the SSA, to the president, please.
Sure.
Okay. He's talking about SMEs and all that. There are a lot of persons that are not able to access this SME, except you know one or two persons. How can an ordinary person access those SMEs without knowing one or two persons in the country, please?
Okay. Ajuri, this whole matter about Nigeria and connections, these facilities you're talking about, Collins wanted to know, if I'm just a Nigerian, I don't know anybody, am I not going to be locked out?
My dear brother, and I speak to the citizen of this country who made that request. That's quite heartbreaking in a way for me to hear. When you know the history of this country, because it's true. the history of this country is such that if you don't know a minister or a governor or a senator, you're out of the loop. And that is what President Muhammadu Buhari has been working so hard to break. If you look at the administration of our social investment programs, from the N-Power scheme to the conditional cash transfer to trader money, where you have 4 million petty traders receiving zero interest capital across all states of the federation, homegrown school feeding program. So many of these items, so many of these programs dedicated to the poor, the most ordinary of our citizens, who I do not believe are ordinary. They're actually very extraordinary because of what they actually go through, and they still make it out on the other side somehow.
Yeah, appreciate that.
We're really trying to leverage on ICT, saying, look, there's a website. You just go to the website. The survival fund is based on a website. You go to the website, you register, and it's based on that your application is processed, not based on knowing presidential aid or any politician. No politician can help you or hurt you. You just have to go to the website and apply. The COVID-19 household loan, I can tell you with authority on that issue, because I was part of those who really sensitized a lot of people about how it works. And I'm happy to report that on my Twitter account, you see a lot of people who scan their beneficiation letters, and they put it on to encourage others. Then look, I didn't know anybody. I was able to access this fund just because I applied. And that is the system that President Muhammadu Buhari is building for all Nigerians to be able to partake in these programs and benefit. I'm very sorry that that skepticism has built up over the decades of failed governance in this country.
I want to thank you very much, Ajuri, because I know that you're a very busy man and that you made time for us this morning. Thank you very much. Putting our recession, coming out of the recession, putting it in context. Yeah, there's more work to be done, but it's a positive one, and it does have great potential, especially if we keep up what we're doing. Then, as you've explained, more of this will show. Thank you very much, Ajuri Ngilale.
So much work to do indeed. Thank you very much, Uncle Yori. God bless you, and God bless all of our viewers.
Bye-bye. Okay. So,
all right. Now, let me quickly start.
I do. Yeah, I have a call.
Okay.
EMC, good morning. EMC in Ogun State, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Thank you for calling in.
How are you?
Go ahead, please. Very well, thank you. Go ahead.
My question is for the SSC.
Well, he's left us. He's left the building. But nevertheless, let's hear the question, please.
But I can still ask the question anyway.
Yes.
I think what we were trying to ask him that time, I want to put it in another perspective now. All these economic policies, we're out of recession. The economy has picked up. Until when it's being felt by an ordinary man, ordinary woman on the streets, that is when we know that there's any effect. We want a situation where things are going down instead of coming up. But let me bring it down now.
Prices are going down instead of coming up.
Yes, price of goods and services. You cannot say we're out of recession when you go to the market, whatever you get today is all. There has to be that impact. That's what we are saying. How does it affect, how does it impact on an ordinary person? That is what we are talking about.
Exactly.
And we are not seeing that. So you cannot tell us we are out of recession. As far as I'm concerned, Nigeria is not out of recession.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So let me quickly, as much as possible, take the matter one by one.
Please.
Let me start with the unemployment that Mr. Ajuri said the other time.
Sure.
Unemployment is one of the most difficult data to...
Sorry for rearranging your order.
Okay.
Take the point from Yemisi's point, which I made also to our jury.
Okay.
Say, look, as far as the ordinary guy knows, who is not a technocrat, not an economic analyst, it sounds like good news, but it doesn't affect me. It doesn't change anything. And Yemisi brought up that question. Would you like to?
Yeah, so that's why in fact, this is a very broad issue, but I've tried as much as possible to be as concise as I can.
Sure.
For instance, there's what we call economic growth and economic development. The growth is a persistent increase in the GDP, 2.1, 3.4, what you can see, quantitative. But when it translates to increase in well-being of citizens, it becomes development. So what Mrs. Yemisi from Ogun State needs, for instance, is economic development. What is the implication of this growth in my life, in the life of my neighbor?
Because she related it to going to the market, prices are not coming down, they're going up, and you say we're out of recession.
So figure is different from what we are seeing physically. So we're looking at economic development. unemployment here. So that is on one side. Then if you also look at, that's why I said the other time that we can't start jubilating now because people on the streets cannot see the implication, the effect as we speak. Prices are still as high as we had it as last year. So we still have things not in good place. So we have figures, then we have facts. So the fact now is that Nigerians as individuals are still in recession. But as an economy, in terms of figure, we are out of recession.
Yes.
Then on the issue of unemployment, because all these things are interwoven, that is said the other time.
But you see, I beg your pardon, Dr. I know this. You said before it will take some time to explain. We don't have that time. So I'm just going to ask you a question. What do you think Nigeria's economic recovery plan should focus on now? I know as an economist, you say these things are linked. Yes. If you were to take one and say, look, focus on this. There are others, but focus on this, then we could begin to see an actual exit from recession in positive numbers.
Well, insecurity should be one thing that government should look at, because when there is full crisis, it will have what they call ripple effect or cascade effect on every other sector of the economy. So government should make sure that there is security in the forest and even on the road. Okay. Now it is difficult for people to move. And again, intertrade business.
So security. If we crack security, then we're really talking.
Thing can start
then
moving.
We're really talking.
Exactly, sir.
I'm going to have to leave it here, and you forgive me. I really want to learn some more about this whole matter. I can imagine, but I want to thank you very much for coming on and helping us. As indeed, we also appreciate Judy Ingilale, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Affairs. Thank you very much as well, Mr. Oladotun Mabinori.
It's a pleasure to be here, sir.
Our pleasure. Okay, so we'll take a break now. Stay with us, please, because we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back, and thanks for joining us if you've just arrived, because you're in time to hear about the situation in Osun State as it relates to infrastructure and development. And we have Mr. Remi Omowaye, Commissioner for Works and Housing.
Transport.
Works and transport, okay. Some people works on housing, some people works on transport.
Works and transport.
Oh, there you go. So, good of you to come. Thank you very much for coming on, because I really wanted to hear about this.
Good morning, sir.
Infrastructural development, because we knew that Osun and some other states, they're really doing their best to manage whatever assets are at their disposal. Everybody's complaining about funds. And then in the middle of all yours, there are more than a few people that were a bit surprised to see that there's something about a flyover in Osun, Olaya flyover, I believe. Some people are calling it a white elephant.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you, Uncle Yori. Governance is about creativity. It's about how ingenious you are. Yes, we know economic situation is tough now. Mm-hmm. But the governor of the state, Gbege Etola, had been able to come up with creative style of funding our infrastructure project. No society can develop without serious and genuine infrastructure development. So we have been able to come up with alternative ways of funding our projects. So I want to assure you the Olaya project is needed. We are flagged off. And it will be completed under 9 months.
Okay,
and I want to tell you, it's not a white elephant project.
Oh, you say it's needed. Needed for prestige?
No. Okay. Well, there are reasons why we considered it, and we did our analysis well. Number one thing, we kept on having accidents at that intersection, at the Olaya junction. Someone accused me and said, okay, you're a local, how many people died there? I said, even if it's one person, someone died there on the 31st of December. It's from a family. So we need to reduce the constant motor auto accident there. Okay. And we also need to reduce the traffic man-hour. Osogbo is fast developing. So we must not say because it is Osogbo, we shouldn't develop Osogbo. So that's one of the major reasons why we're doing that. And as I would continue to say, we have looked at our funding pattern. We have looked at our funding ways. And I can assure you that the project will be finished under 9 months. It won't be abandoned. It won't be a white elephant project.
Okay. And other sectors of the economy
will not be affected. The governor said it.
Because, yes, we're worried about this.
The governor said it on the day of flag off, and he said he wants the civil servant to be rest assured that this would not affect their prompt payment of their salaries. If you recollect, recently, we lifted embargo on promotion. And we are among the very few states that have started paying minimum wage. And we have also lifted embargo on promotion. So we have looked at our funding line.
Okay.
There's a funding approach which is unique to us. We pioneered this in Southwest. It's called Alternative Project Funding Approach. Shey Makinde copied us after we started it.
Okay.
We first tried it February last year with about 54 kilometers of road. And as I speak to you, in spite of COVID, in spite of the NSAC's challenges, we finished all the 4 kilometers of road without going to borrow. So I want to assure our people at home that this will also not stop other infrastructural development.
Okay.
About 2 weeks ago, we also came up with a list of about 22 major roads we are fixing.
Would the Olaya flyover be the first in?
Well, that would be the first flyover in town.
In town. Yeah. Now it's not just all about flyovers and because there's the other. Are there other aspects of infrastructural development?
No, I just said 2 weeks ago we rolled out about 22 major roads that we're doing.
Okay.
And the governor has said it that all these roads that we're awarding now must be completed before its 30th anniversary. And they are not roads that were just picked for picking's sake. They are roads that are critical and that are needed to be fixed. When we came on board, there is what we call needs assessments, DFID needs assessment. That's a report by DFID to tell us what our people wanted. And the governor also went around to thank people when he was elected. And people also told us what they wanted us to do. So we had looked at the DFID report, that is needs assessment, and the thank you tour report to look at critical roads that we need to fix. We have fixed about 54 kilometers, but we are rolling out another 22 that are critical and strategic. And I can assure you, God's great with our funding pattern. This road will be fixed, and it's not going to affect every other sector, as I said earlier.
Because what this seems to be indicating is Governor Yetola sort of, adopted the position that the state of roads in the state, is nothing to write home about, and so must have, sort of aimed at that particularly, because you've just explained how there are quite a number of roads.
Yeah, yes, because there's no society that can develop without good infrastructure. I must also say this clearly that we inherited a lot of roads from the last administration. We're also funding those road projects heavily. The governor has said it repeatedly that we are not going to abandon any road projects. So we are funding those road projects heavily too. And we're also not compromising standard, because that's also key.
Because I was going to ask about that. The expertise that you're going to require, I know people are trying to do as much as they can internally, but is this one of those where you have the resources, the technical know-how, the personnel in state, or are you going to have to reach out?
Well, we have reached out already. There are 2 layers of consultants on the project. They are top-notch consultants. The design was also carried out with our in-house team and a top-notch consultant. And the contractor handling the project is also known for good job. He's worked in a lot of places in the States. He was one that handled the 54 kilometers. And the project was done
so he has
time.
So he has a track record.
He has a track record. So we are rest assured that that would go on well. And we have also ensured that the portion of the town called Olaya, because it's been blocked, so for the next 9 months, there won't be passing through Olaya. So we have also created alternative routes. We have worked on getting to make sure that we reduce the pressure and the stress people will go through because of that. So we're doing a lot to ensure that that goes on. We are not stopping at road infrastructure. We are doing hospital infrastructure. We've done a lot of general.
Let me quickly take Jelili, who has called in from Doha in Qatar. Good morning, Jelili.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Go ahead with your question, please, or observation.
Yes, first I want to thank Mr. Remy for being on the program.
Okay.
I'm still wondering when it comes to infrastructure in Nigeria. Yes. Okay, sir. Yeah, it seems Nigeria is full of confusion. They will complain of infrastructure development. Government is not doing this, government is not doing that. And when government is coming up with infrastructure facilities that will benefit them, they will start talking of worker salary revenue. And they are still the same set of people who will say that, oh, we just be using all our resources to pay salary. overhead costs is too much. People should get something right. If government with developmental projects, they should find a way of supporting them, encouraging them to do more. We are comparing Nigeria with Doha, with UAE and all that, and Abuja. They do things out of nothing sometimes. So people should learn how to encourage government when they want to do infrastructural facilities.
Okay.
Don't let us be talking about salary of workers all the time.
Okay, there's number 2, JD. Okay, quickly on the number 2. Quickly, please.
Many people who benefit or who are benefiting from federal government things, they could news about where they are benefiting from. But they only talk about negative things.
Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate your calling in from Doha there. Interesting.
Well, I understand the fear of a lot of people. One, we must also re-emphasize this that
well, he was very happy all the way in Doha
but
that you
I must
came
say
along.
this is not going to affect
and that
workers' salary. Workers are very important to us.
In this case, they're going to have their cake and eat it.
They would have a
in this case,
and because the project is also not too bogus. Compared to what people were expecting, 2.7 billion naira net. Yes. That's the net cost. So it's something we have looked at our financial books and the way we're going to manage it. And we must say this again, we are lucky with the governor we have in the state of Osun. He's a financial guru, so he's been able to manage our resources so well. And in spite of our huge debt profile, we are still moving as a state. And we've paid a lot of our debt, so we've paid over 40 billion. So we are managing the situation and we are really moving forward.
I want to thank you very much, Remy, for making time to come out.
Thank you.
It's not all the time we see you in Lagos, so when we see you, we must grab you. Thank you very much, Remy Omowaye, Commissioner for Works and Transport. I wanted to put housing in there, but no.
Don't worry, we are commissioning the flyover within the next 9 months, and we'll bring you to Shobo so that you come and see it.
There you go.
You'll be among the first set of people that will drive through.
Look forward to
the
that.
flyover, because we'll be working day and night, and I can assure you.
So 9 months, projected time of completion.
Yes, projected time.
Thank you very much.
And we're not going to disappoint our people.
That's Remy Omowaye.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's our program, and thank you very much for being with us. We will see you tomorrow with a fresh edition, God willing. Remember all the COVID-19 protocols. Keep the right distances. Don't go where there are crowds. Wash your hands frequently, and mask up. In fact, the law now says you should mask up. So I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.